The Hungarian Grand Prix has never failed to deliver, and with this weekend's weather forecast throwing in a bit of spice, we might just be in for another classic, with the McLaren duo ramping up their intra-team battle week after week, and the rest of the grid seemingly backing off. The prospect of a rain-affected race adds an unpredictable twist, because when rain enters the equation, anything can happen. So what major storylines are set to unfold in Hungary? And more importantly, who's going to come out on top? Let's start with the weather. You already know how big of a factor rain can be. Just look at the chaos it caused in Spa. Now, while the forecast for Hungary doesn't scream storm, the pattern is quite telling. We're expecting dry conditions on Friday and Saturday, but come Sunday, the probability of rain spikes dramatically. That leaves teams with a familiar dilemma. Should they set up their cars for dry conditions in qualifying or compromise for a potential wet race day? Logic says yes, because points are scored on Sunday, right? But remember what happened in Spa. Despite torrential rain early on, the FIA didn't allow racing until the track was almost completely dry. That left rain setup cars stranded, helpless just waiting as their setups turned into liabilities. No team wants a repeat of that in Hungary. Yes, the natural downforce levels here are higher than in Spa, but the risk still remains, and teams will be praying the race director makes different calls this time around. Still, despite no major upgrades expected, don't expect a dull weekend. The entire main straight and grandstands have been reconstructed, adding even more flair to what's already a fan-favorite circuit. As it stands, McLaren are the undisputed favorites, and the gap between them and the rest is widening fast. With several teams reportedly giving up on their 2025 development already, the walking-based squad might be ready to pop the champagne early in the constructors' race. But what makes it even more intense is the brewing battle between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. This isn't just any rivalry, it's personal, especially considering what happened here last year. McLaren botched Piastri's strategy, then pleaded with Norris to let his teammate through, claiming he'd need him later for the championship fight. Fast forward to today, and that script has been tossed out the window. These two are now going full throttle against each other, reminiscent of the iconic Hamilton versus Rosberg days in 2016, with one crucial difference. Lando has a tendency to crack under pressure when it counts. We saw it in Spa. Critical mistakes while chasing Piastri cost him, and now that the championship gap is just 16 points, he simply can't afford more of the same. McLaren CEO Zak Brown has weighed in on the internal title fight, and while it's the ideal scenario for any team, two drivers pushing each other to the limit, it's also a managerial headache. Speaking ahead of the Hungarian GP, Brown said, "Both of our drivers have the momentum because they're winning a lot and getting 1-2s. I think Oscar was a little disappointed with qualifying in Belgium. Lando was very happy. I'm sure he's a bit bummed he didn't win, but it's coming off 2 wins in a row. I think it's going to be a coin toss every weekend. Oscar is a machine, and what's impressive is how aggressive he is, yet he always brings the car home. Momentum-wise, Norris has the upper hand, 3 podiums in the last 4 races. But while that's the main storyline heading into Hungary, there's one more wildcard that can't be ignored. The same wildcard that used to separate Bottas from Hamilton, Max Verstappen. Despite what Helmut Marko might say, Max is insistent that he's not in the championship hunt. But don't be fooled, he's still wringing every last ounce of performance from that car race after race. And Zak Brown knows it. Even though McLaren are walking into every race weekend as clear favorites, Brown isn't sleeping on the Verstappen factor. Not for a second. Yes, the gap is now well over 80 points between Verstappen and Piastri, and at this stage, it's getting harder and harder to consider the Dutchman a serious championship contender unless something truly unpredictable happens. But even if he's out of the title hunt, don't underestimate Max's role as an external disruptor. He can still snatch away crucial points from either Norris or Piastri just by splitting them on the grid. Zak Brown echoed this sentiment, saying, "I think it's too early to rule out Verstappen from the title race. It's looking good, but Max, there's a lot of racing left to do. We've got a nice gap, but I wouldn't say we're there. We've all been around this sport too long. To start dancing before you're in the end zone is a very dangerous thing to do." Still, Red Bull's limitations are clear, and they're no longer something the team can hide. All signs now point to the Milton Keynes outfit shifting focus to 2026, with Verstappen having to accept the likely return of his number 33 next year. The good news? He's staying put. That means we head into Hungary knowing both he and Russell are likely to stay within their lanes. No shocking team switches or seismic shakeups that would split the fan base. But despite the long-term outlook, Verstappen is urging the team not to completely abandon 2025. He believes there's still value in development, especially with how much can carry over in terms of aerodynamic understanding and car behavior. As he put it himself, "No, I think it's still important to develop the 2025 car because you'll learn certain things and they always will have an effect on next year. The cars will be completely different, but there are still things we can work on and take to next year. So, of course, engineering and car design and next year, but we can still learn a lot about this year. Now turning to probably the biggest disappointment of the 2025 season so far, Ferrari. The Maranello-based team raised expectations sky high, only to come crashing down with major failures in setting the car up where it needs to be. Their only realistic goal now? Fighting for P2 in the Constructors' Championship, and even that's unlikely given the form of Red Bull and Mercedes. What's even more telling is that leadership changes are off the table, and reports from inside Maranello suggest the team has already abandoned development for 2025. That might actually work in their favor, considering Lewis Hamilton has been calling for just that, to stop wasting energy on a flawed car and focus on the future. But once again, Ferrari's internal dysfunction is on full display. Serious restructuring is clearly needed if they ever want to be true championship contenders again. Still, Hamilton arrives at the Hungaroring with a smile. This track has been one of his strongest hunting grounds. He's won here 8 times and started from pole position 9 times. Only twice in his career has he failed to lead a lap in Hungary, once in 2010 due to a mechanical failure, and again in 2015 when, despite starting on pole, he lost positions early and couldn't recover. But with the current state of Ferrari's performance, expectations should be tempered. A podium might be on the cards if something goes wrong for Verstappen or Red Bull. And if the McLarens lock horns and trip over each other, Ferrari might just capitalize. As for Mercedes, they could spring a surprise here too. The cooler Sunday conditions are expected to suit the W16 beautifully. When the tarmac cools, that car suddenly comes alive. Despite committing to continuous development for the rest of the season, no one's under any illusion that Mercedes will pull off something miraculous. Their true hopes are pinned on 2026, when the new regulations kick in, and honestly, you can't blame them. With a top-tier engine program and 2 immensely talented young drivers, Mercedes are laying the groundwork for a comeback, one that could see them snatch their first drivers' title since 2020 and reclaim the Constructors' crown for the first time since 2021. So with all of this in mind, we want to hear from you. Which storyline has you most hyped heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix? And more importantly, who do you think will come out on top in this thrilling battle for P1, Norris or Piastri? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to click the video that's appearing on your screen right now.